Hello students, in today's video we are going to see how to find out the number of values of n which have to be integers such that n upon 20 minus n, this expression is also a square of an integer, is an integer but is a square of an integer. So there are two conditions. Number one, n upon 20 minus n has to be integer as well as square of an integer, and n has to be an integer. We cannot take any n as any other value. Let's see how to approach this question. So first of all, n can be any value from minus infinity, all integer values, minus 3, minus 2, minus 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, up to infinity, any number. And number two, this expression has to be square of an integer. M is any integer. So first of all, quickly analyzing the number n has to be, if n is negative number, say minus 4, then denominator will be 20 minus minus 4. That will be minus 4 upon 20 plus 4. That is minus 4 upon 24. So it will always be, numerator will be negative and denominator will be positive. And therefore, the final answer will be a negative number. But any square cannot be negative numbers. So all the negative numbers are off. Now we cannot take negative number. Even we cannot take 0. Because 0 upon 20 minus 0 will give 0, which is not a perfect square of an integer. Now let's take 1. So 1 upon 20 minus 1 is 1 upon 19, which is not a fraction, which is not an integer only. It is a fraction and it is not an integer. So 1 to 10 we cannot take, because anything if we take 1 to 10, say 1 to 9, sorry. So if I take 9 also, 20 minus 9, it will be 9 by 11. It will always be a fractional number. It will always be less than 1. So we cannot take number from 1 to 10, 1 to 9. So we have struck off all the negative numbers, 0. Now we are left with 1 to infinity, and out of 1 to infinity, 1 to 9 are not possible. So we have only 20 to infinite. Now the next thing is, if we take more than 20, the numerator will be negative. 20 upon, if we take say 21, so denominator will be negative. So we cannot take more than 20. And even we cannot take 20, because otherwise in that case, denominator will be 0. 20 upon 20 minus 20. So denominator is 0, which is not possible. So only numbers which are left now, all the numbers after 20 are struck off. Only number up to 19 are left. So we have to check from 10 to 19 only. So after a range of infinite numbers, now we are left with only 9 or 10 numbers, 10 to 19. N can be 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Only these many numbers. Now let's see, if I put 10, 10 upon 20 minus 10 is 10 upon 10, which is 1. And 1 is equals to m square. It is possible the value of m can be 1, plus minus 1. Because it is given that it is square of an integer. So plus 1 is also an integer and minus 1 is also an integer. So yes, the value of n is equals to 10 is possible. Now, if I take 11, so it will be 11 upon 9, and 11 is a prime number. A prime number is not divisible by any number. So if I take 11 or any prime number, the numerator will be a prime, and denominator, whatever value of denominator comes, that cannot give us an integer. So all the prime numbers cannot be the values. So struck off all the prime numbers, 11, 13, 17 and 19. So one answer is 10. Now let us take 12. 12 by 20 minus 12 is 12 by 8. 12 by 8 is not an integer, so it cannot be square of an integer. So the value of 12 is not possible. Taking 14, 14 upon 20 minus 14 will give me 14 by 6, which is not an integer. So I will strike off 14 also. Taking 15, 15 upon 20 minus 15 is 15 by 5, and 15 by 5 is 3. Now it is an integer, but it is not a square of an integer. 3 is equals to m square. So m is under root 3, which is not an integer. It is an irrational number. So the value 15 is also not possible. Though it gives integer, but it is not a square of an integer. Taking 16, 20 upon 16 upon 20 minus 16 will give me 16 upon 4, and 16 upon 4 is 4. So m square is equals to 4 and m is equals to plus minus 2. So this is a square of an integer. N is equals to 16 is possible. 17 we already removed. Now taking 18. 18 upon 20 minus 18 is 18 by 2. 18 by 2 is 9. And m square is 9. So m is plus minus 3, which is again an integer. So n can be 18. N cannot be 19, although it will give an integer, but it will not be a square of an integer. If I take 19, so this number will be 19 upon 1. It will be an integer, but is not a square of an integer. So there are only 3 values possible out of infinite possible values. The value of n can be either 10 or 16 or 18. Only these values are possible.